Hello everyone. Harshit from Lovely Professional University for Guara, and we are on a series to learn Python from basics to the concept of object-oriented programming. And in today's lecture, we will be covering loop, and in the loop concept, we will be learning while loop. In the previous lecture, we have learned the for loop and nested if statement. How can we use actually the for loop and how can we actually use the nested if statement. So, if you guys haven't watched that video, please go first and watch that one so that it will be giving you great a great understanding of loops, how loops are actually working. In this video, we are actually going to understand control loops using break, continue, and pass statements. We are going to create different patterns using loops, and we are going to actually solve some loop-based programming problems. It will actually help us understand how loops are actually working and all. Then we will be learning about nested loops and pattern printing. We will be doing in this, and how can we actually try running the loop part. So we will actually start loop, but before that, we will actually understand that what is a loop. So what is definition? So the definition of loop is a loop is a programming structure that repeated, repeatedly executes a block of code until a specific condition is completed. That means a loop is more similar to a person to which we have assigned a task that do this task until the sun is up. That means he will do a task till the night. As soon as the sun sets, he will stop doing the task. That means as the conditions are true, till the moment the conditions are true, that person will be doing the task. That's actually how loops work. Loops are actually very easy to understand while working with them. As for a basic understanding, loops actually work when a particular condition which we are giving to them is continuously true. The moment that condition becomes false, the loop actually breaks and loop actually stops. And we have learned about for loop in my previous lecture, so I'll be not covering that part of the loop. But now, yeah. So now there is this thing how loops are working internally. So we have understood how for loop is working internally, but we also have to know how while loop is working internally. So for while loop, when the while loop is working internally, the actual thing is for the while loop, we have learned the syntax. The syntax is while, the while keyword, and then condition, then column, and then statement. This was our while loop. But in our for loop, we were using a non-initiated variable I. Okay, but in while loop, we have to initiate the variable I also. So there will be initiation of a variable whenever you are using a while loop. And while loop always works for iterations where we don't know the number of iterations, whereas for loop works when we know the number of iterations of number or the range. Okay, so that's where the for loop and while loop differs. So now let's just understand that what's this range thing. So the range is actually a function which is more like it's a sequence of number that can be used for looping. That means a range. If I am saying that give me students whose marks are ranging from 90 to 100. So that's where I'm limiting the number of students and I'm just asking those whose marks are from 90 to 100. So you'll be giving me 10 names or 12 names. So that's what a range generally is. But in Python, for a range, there are actually more than two things. Normally in a range, there are two things: start and the stop, the starting point and the ending point. But in Python, there is another thing known as step. That for how many steps we are going to use, we are going to use, or we are going to move. But before that, for this range part, we can actually use the range only with start and stop, and with start stop step. There are three cases. So for the first case, For defining the range part, the range is mostly used in for loops. So for defining the range part, we will be using the range keyword, then parenthesis, wait, yeah, range keyword, then parenthesis, and inside this, there will be a start, stop, step. Okay, this will be the sequence of start, stop, and step. You can't exchange the sequence as it's a part of syntax of this range. So at first, we will be just using the stop case. Okay, there is a case one in which we are using range with just stop. So that shows that we don't have the initial variable, initial value. So our range will be starting from zero. Okay, and the stop we have given, it will be going from zero to one minus stop. Okay, that means it is one less from the stop part. That's where the range will go. Okay, if you want to print numbers from 0 to 10 in for loop, as we have done in the previous lecture, and as I have given you some assignments, if you guys have done them actually, then you must understand that whenever you are doing your assignment, you were giving them ranges from variable a to some ending. Okay, so it was actually going from the value of that variable a to that ending minus 1. And if you want to print numbers from 0 to 1, 0 to 10, then you are going for plus 1, n plus 1. You are writing for I in range bracket a comma n plus 1. N is our ending point, so it must go from n plus 1. So that's what our range stop is actually working. Okay. So now there is another case start and stop. We actually worked with it in the previous lecture for loop. So in the start and stop, we actually give just the start and the stop. So for case two, it's just its syntax is start comma stop. That's our syntax for case two. Start and using the start and stop. And at the end, there is this start stop step. So for that start stop and step, the difference is if I want to print integers from 0 to 1, 0 to 10, while I want to print all the odd integers from 1 to 10. Okay, so there are two ways. Either I'll use a conditional statement or I'll use a step, because I know every number for a number to be odd, there are two possibilities. Either its remainder must not be 0 when it's divided by 2, or the number must be what? There must be a step of 1 between two numbers, and the starting number must be odd, so the ending number will be odd. Let's understand it. So if I'll just see like here, just like here. So when I'm when I'm going for the stop thing, okay, for this thing. See, there is this thing when I'm writing the number line, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, this is my number line. So there is a pattern between odd numbers and even numbers, that every odd number is coming again after one even number. That means this if I just print 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, it's actually a series of odd numbers. Okay, and I can actually make a step of 1. That means after this, one number will be excluded after 1. The next number which is after 1, it will be excluded. It will be not accessed by the loop, and then the number at the third place will come. Okay, so that's how we can actually print all the odd numbers and even numbers using ranges. Okay, using the step thing of the ranges. Okay, so that's what a step thing is. Now you can actually go for step from ascending orders to descending orders. For this descending orders, for this descending orders, you know what we have to do? We just have to make us for ascending, we are putting the step in positive, but for descending, we can actually put our step into negative. So if I'll say print number from 0 to 10 to 0, but in descending order. So we can use that, we can do that by using the start, stop, and step concept. So let's just do that for I in range, parenthesis. Now and starting from my starting number must be 10 and the ending number must be 0. So I'll be doing this from 10 to 0, but I have to go one number back because I also want to print 0. So I'll just put negative 1. And now for my step part, now for my step part, if I'm descending it, so now I have to, in the descending, I have to put my step as negative, and if I'm ascending it, I have to put my step as positive. So I'll just put my step as negative 1, okay, and then I'll just put a column here and print I, okay. Now if I'll just run my code, see 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. See, it went till 0. Okay. Now if I'll say print all the even numbers from 10 to 0 with 10 to 0 in descending order. So what we will do is we will not put the step of minus 2, minus 1. We will put the step of minus 2. What will happen is, so its first step is here, second is here, so it will print the third step. So if I now run it, it has given me a series of all even numbers from 10 to 0, which is including 0, and it's in descending order. That's how we can actually use the step part in ascending and descending. Okay, so it's very much helpful for us to use this step in ascending and descending. As in ascending, we will take the step as positive one, and in the descending, we will take the step as negative. Please understand this concept, understand this concept as it's very much important for you guys. In further lectures, we will be covering the list data type, string, tuple, and dictionary. In that, there will be questions that print that check if a number, not a number is valuable, but check if some word is what. Okay, check if a, check if you spell a word from forward and from backward if the word is actually equal. Okay, so word is actually same. So that's where these steps will actually work. These ascending and negative steps and positive steps will actually work. So now for that even number part where I was saying, so if I'll just go it from go it go it like this for all the even numbers from 0 to 10, now I'll have to put a step of 2 and if I'll print, see I have got all the even numbers from 0 to 10. Now your homework is print all the odd numbers from 0 to 10, okay, for in descending orders and ascending orders both, okay, for just go for it like that, okay. Just remember one thing, this start is included and this stop is excluded while you are using the loop. So there this is our step concept of a start stop, okay. Now you know there's a what's the common mistakes you guys can do actually here. So the common mistakes here is that if you want to print numbers from 0 to 10, okay, so you people will be doing this from 0 to 10, and then you will try to run it, and then you will get a number series from 0 to 9. So please make sure that your start is included and your step is actually excluded, okay. The step part, this 10 is excluded, so if I want to print 10 also, I have to go stop plus 1, that's my 11, okay. Now I'll just run it. You see, this is how we will be using the range. We will be using the range part mostly in for loop, and in while loop there will be just one condition. If that condition is true, the while loop will run. Okay. So let's do one question for while loop. So for while loop when I'll do, so okay, for while loop, let's have a question. Okay. So what we have to do is we have to take a integer from the user, and then we have to print all even numbers from of that from that from 0 to the number given from the user, and after that we will print the sum of those even numbers, okay. So now if I'll just do one thing, let's just take the, so here what's the logic, let's just take the input from the user. So I'll just put a is equals to int input, then enter a number, okay, enter a num, okay. So this is my input from the user, okay. Now I'll initialize I is equal to 0, because I want to print it from the zero. Okay. Now I'll initialize one more variable as sum. Okay, equals to zero. Why? Because we have to print sum of all the even numbers. Now for while loop, I'll just put a condition while I is less than or equals to a. Okay, while I is less than equals to a here, if I percentage by 2 is equal to 0. Here we are checking for the even numbers, so that's why I'm putting it equal to 0. If I'm checking for the odd numbers, there will be one thing. For odd numbers, there will be this sign. This exclamation sign is for not. Okay, this exclamation sign is for not. I have taught it in the comparison operators while we were learning the comparison operators. This sign is for not equal to. Okay, if I is equal to 0. Okay, then I'll just print I. Okay, now here I'll just do sum plus equals to I. Okay, for here sum is also a keyword in this, so we'll put it sum underscore one. Okay, sum underscore one. So now sum underscore one equals to plus equals to I. Okay, and then we will print sum underscore one. Okay, so now when I'll run my code, it will ask me enter a number, so I'll enter it 10. Okay, so that's 10 correctly. Okay, see, we haven't done the implementation part yet. So this was a common mistake also from in the while loop. In while loop, you have to do the implementation by your own. It's not the for loop. For loop, you can do the implementation. You can skip the implementation part, but for loop, you have to do the implementation. Otherwise, it will be infinite loop. See, this all zeros. So now when I after that print I must write I plus equals to one. Okay. So now I run it. Enter a of 10. Or I can just do the sum is now enter a number 10. See, this is the series of all even numbers and this is our sum of the even numbers. So this was the code of all even numbers printed with the help of while loop and having the sum of those even numbers. For in the line 8, line 8, we are doing the implementation so that the value of I is incremented by 1 every time the loop executes, every time the loop executes. So this is a basic working of this loop. Okay. Now let's just understand the nested loop concept, and with this nested loop concept, we will do the practice. We will do the questions for such as for right for printing patterns. Okay. So for that nested loop, a nested loop is a loop inside another loop. Just like we have seen in the nested if statements that there is this if statement inside this if statement there is another if statement. Okay, that is our nested loop. Okay, so for the nested loop, its formal definition is a nested loop is a loop which is inside another loop. Okay, so now if I just see my example, okay, if I just give you guys an example, so if I want to print, if I want to print two things, okay, if I want to print, yeah, if I want to print this, what can I print with the help of nested loop? We can actually print the tables and we can actually print the series of a matrix we, just like we saw a matrix. Okay, we can do that in vertical place. So let's just do that part. Okay, so for nested loop thing. Okay, let me just show you. For a nested loop, we will be having for, okay, I in range, and I'll put the ending is ending at 3. Then there is column. Now we have to again write a loop for j in range. We have to make a different variable for the inner loop because you can't use the same variable again and again, and it will actually make an error because in the first loop we are initiating the value of that variable, and as the code continues in the second loop you are again reinitiating the variable. So that's not how nested loops work. For I in range 3, for gain range 3, okay, now I just put this print I comma 3. Okay, now if I'll run it, see, this is this is where we have got our matrix 0 0 0 1 0 2 1 0 1 1 1 2 2 0 2 1 2. So what's happening here is until I is in the range of 3, J is executing. Okay, until I is in the range of 3, I is stable. See, at this point, this loop, this I from second line is executing, is initializing its value at 0 for 1. Okay, for 3 times until J is out of bounds of this. The moment I is at 0, J this loop for J starts to work. At this point, it will first execute J as 0. That's why we have got 0 0 as 0 0 here. Then at second point, it will also go to this part because at first the outer loop will outer loop will start at 1. Then the inner loop will work until this condition gets false. Okay. So now J will again go and its value is initialized to 1. And as i's value is now static at this moment, so its value is 0. Its value is 1. That's why we have got 0 1. And the moment the value of J is excluded from the range. Okay, it's the stop part. Okay, so the moment value of j is equals to 3, the loop here it actually stops working, and now this loop starts. So this I will be actually now its value is incremented by 1. So now it's 1. So that's why we can see 1 here. Then after this one, this loop again works. This cycle will go until both of these conditions turns false, or the condition for this and this loop will be false. When both of the variables are out of bound of that range, this loop will be stopped. Okay, that's how we can use. So that's how we can actually use this nested loops. Okay, these nested loops will help you how to access or how to print. For how can you print the matrix and patterns and tables. Okay. Now, for the pattern printing, let me just let me just show the pattern printing to you. But before the pattern printing, we will be printing the tables. Okay. We have written tables in our mathematics subject in the starting days of our schools, in our secondaries, and from classes 6 to 12. We have actually written tables. Okay. So when we will write the table, okay, so let's just write the table. Okay. So now for writing the table, suppose I want to get the table as I want the table of 2. Okay. So now here the range will be 11 now. Okay. And here the range will be 3 as this will go to 3. Now when I'm writing the table of 2, I have to I have to initialize it. So I'm initializing it print I, okay, then comma, then this quote is I, comma, okay, in that we will actually write the asterisk sign, okay, then comma, then j, then comma, we are doing something. Okay, for two, its value will be value will be three. Okay, then j comma, then there is a space, then equals to comma, then I method j. Okay, and now if I'll print this out, okay, so for here, I'll not put I to the range of three, but I'll just put I is equals to two. Okay, for I is equals to two. Let's see that. Okay, so great guys. For I in range, what can be right for table five? For I in range from the for I in range. Okay, for I in range. If I just try for I in range bracket is equal to bracket one. Okay. Now I'll type it. It is giving me the value of okay, right. So now if I'll give it a start of two and end of two, top of two, then I think I'll give a start of two and top of two. That's how we can actually print our table. So what happened here actually is we were just giving it an endpoint. So I was initializing from zero and going to the end. But when you want to print the table, you guys have to initialize a start and you guys have to initialize a stop. So this 2 is a start and this 3 is a stop. So why have I written this 3 here is because our ending point actually goes from n plus 1, stop plus 1. Okay. So this stop plus 1, so this 3 means that the loop must end when I is in the range of 2 to 3. So the starting point is 2 and the ending point is 3. So 3 is excluded. So there is only one number here, which is 3. If I want to print the table of, let's say, 12, I'll put 12 plus 30, 12 and 13 here, and then I'll just write. So I've got my table of 12. So that's how we can actually print tables. We can actually print tables right here. Okay. So now after we have after we have understood how these how how these nested loops are actually working. So now let's move towards our statements. Okay. So there are three statements here in Python. Okay. Pass, continue, and break. Pass, continue, and break statements. So these three statements are actually used for for breaking a loop or passing the values from the loop. So let's start with the break statement. Okay, when I want to when I'm working with this break statement, let me just put a hash here that makes it a comment. Now, when I'm using a break statement, what it actually does is it actually terminates the loop immediately, even if the statement is even if the condition which we have given inside the loop at the first place is satisfied or not, it doesn't matter. It just breaks the loop immediately. It's more similar to a handbrake in a car that we are going on a highway and immediately there is something which we just saw and we want to stop the car. So we will just pull the handbrake off and we will just stop the tires and the car won't move. Okay. So if irrespective of the facts of physics that car will drift to some distance, if we'll ignore physics there and I'll just put a handbrake right here, handbrake right on, so the car must stop at the moment when I've pulled the lever of that handbrake. That handbrake is actually this brake statement in our pipe. So its definition is brake statement immediately terminates the loop. What does this mean? This means that if I want to make a loop, okay, in which I'm printing numbers from range from 1 to 10, but I'm saying if the number is 5, then you must terminate the loop. If 5 is ranging from 1 to 10, then you must terminate the loop. So that's where we will use the break statement. Let's just see the example. For the example, I'll initialize for I in range 1 to 11, okay, and column. Then I'll write if I is equals to, let's just take any number. If I is equals to 5, okay, break, okay, and then after break, I'll just write print I. Now if I print I, see, the loop actually terminated at 5. The moment the value of I became 5, the loop terminates. That's where a break statement is, okay. So if I just move this from 1 to 100, not 100, we'll just move it to 101 because we want it to go from 1 to 100. And I'll say if I is equals to any number, if I is equals to 23, okay, if I is equals to 23 and I'll run it, then see the loop actually terminated at 22nd index, okay. So that's where this break statement is. It actually terminates the loop even if the situation above here are satisfied. If this situation got satisfied of if statement, the loop will terminate irrespective of anything. Okay. Now after this, when let's just understand what's happening. So when Python's interpreter actually sees this break statement, this break keyword, this little break keyword there, it actually leaves the loop completely and it actually stops executing the code. In real life, let's just see. When we are actually working in an ATM or when we are putting pins in an ATM, there are three attempts we are getting. Okay, if we got more than three wrong pins, if we got it, that's also this break statement work. That's where this break statement actually is working. So when you have entered the first pin, okay, first wrong pin, it doesn't say anything. Then it will again enter the second wrong pin. It will doesn't say anything. It will just show one attempt left. Okay, and the moment you enter the third wrong pin, no matter how many wrong pins you are entering now, it will not count any pins and it will stop checking. Okay. After three wrong pins, your account will be your ATM will be blocked for I don't know how many hours or how many days, but it will stop checking. So that's where this loop the break statement is. So what's happening at the back inside that machine back in the back is that it's checking the number of failed attempts. So if we have written if failed attempts equals to 3 break, so this break statement is actually working in the ATM machine browser. That's why I said this computer science is actually now the root, now the it's now the root of every field in electronics, even in microcontrollers you are using coding. An ATM machine or anything in your house cannot be, not any digital thing cannot be made without this coding part. That's why this BTech thing is, that's why this BTech in computer science is actually famous nowadays. So as we have understood for the break part, let's just move towards the continue statement. The continue statement actually says that it will actually skip the current iteration and it will move to the next iteration. What that means is that if I want that I'm going on a highway and I want to skip some part. So what can I do? I can take an alternate route where no traffic is there. Let's just understand that. Let's just take an example that I'm on NH 333. Okay, I'm on National Highway 333, and there is traffic on that highway. So there are two situations now. What can I do? That either I will go in the traffic and I'll wait for it to clear. Second situation, I'll go out of that highway and I'll just drive back in where the traffic ends. So that's where this continue statement is. Continue statement actually skips that part. So the moment I left that highway and I have entered it from the new state, new new point, I've actually passed a sequence or I have actually passed some. some distance. So that's a continuous statement. It actually skips the current iteration. So if I want to print numbers from 1 to 5 and I want that number 3 must not be written print. So I'll just write as here, instead of print I'll write continue. Okay, if I is equals to 10, continue if I equals to 3. So now if I'll print it, see the number 3 is not here. That means when the iteration of I, when the value of I is equals to 3, it skips the value of I. That means it doesn't matter if 3 is there or not. It actually skips that number. Now, what's the difference between break and continue? So, break immediately stops the loop when the conditions are true for that break statement. But in the continue part, in the continue statement, it actually skips that one iteration. It actually skips that single iterations. Okay, and in break statement, it exits completely. Now the loop cannot be executed when the break statement is executed. But when continue statement is executed, it can move. The loop will continue until the conditions are satisfied. Until these conditions, this range condition is satisfied, the loop will continue. As we can see in the output also. So that's where the break and continue statement differs. Now for pass statement is nothing but it's just giving you a pass by that, yeah, you can go from this way is clear. So it actually doesn't do anything. Okay, it actually never does anything. Okay, so it's more similar that our code is going easily. Okay, we are just putting a pass statement so that it does nothing. Okay, just understand. If I'm going on a highway, again, simple, I'm going on a highway, the road is now clear. Okay, so if you are putting a guy standing there and he's saying that, yeah, roads clear, you can go, roads clear, you can go, roads clear, you can go, I can ignore that guy and I can also go in that, I can also go on that way that, yeah, I'm going on that road. So that's where this pass statement is, that actually does nothing. It's just a keyword which is added in Python. Okay, if I just say, if I just write here the pass and I'll just run it, see, it hasn't made any changes in the code. That's what the pass statement actually is. So now, after this pass statement, now let's just understand that if where we can use or why we can use this pass statement. So we can use this pass statement in a code in a code when we want to add a block of code, but currently we are not able to add that code. So we will use this pass statement so that it surpasses that place. Okay. So now let's just move towards the pattern printing for printing. Okay. Now it's the interesting part for pattern printing because it will actually these type of questions will be asked by the companies which will be hiring you in the interviews. Okay. So the most asked question is pattern printing. Okay. In every examination of your BTech CSE, in every CA or in every midterm, there will be one single question which says draw print the pattern of inverted triangles or triangles, or print the pattern, okay, of asterisk signs, hash signs, doesn't matter. So for this pattern printing, first we will understand how can we print a square of that pattern. Okay, a square. Okay, a square made of length 3 by 3. So this we will do this thing we will do with the help of nested loop. So now if I write for I in range 4, okay, and then I'll just put, now I'll be using the nested loop for I in range 4 again, and I'll print, what can I print now? So now I'll print asterisk sign, okay. And after that asterisk sign, we have to give an end, okay. So end equals to a block, an empty space, okay. And then after this, I'll just write a print, which is this and see. See. Now if I run it, see, this is my block of aspects, okay? So now it is given me, it's actually a square of it. Okay? Now if I'll just remove the ending steps, if I just put this as B and C and I'll just run it, see, this is my pattern printing. This is the most basic pattern of the printing, okay? So what's happening here is the outer loop is actually the number of rows and the inner loop is the actually the number of columns. So what's happening here is when this condition is actually passing, okay, so this loop will execute. For this loop, it will print aspect, okay. First aspect will be at 1 and then there is n. So nothing will be printed. Now it will again go for this. Now it's 2. So when it's 2, so it will now it will print 1, 2 and then 3. Okay. Now it will print these. Now at first it will just print this one. At second it will print this, after this much up to these four. This, this. These four aspects it will print. At the third moment it will print the nine aspects. Okay. So this is our square. Okay. But now let's just go to an increasing triangle. So for that increasing triangle, we will actually use in the nested loop for the increasing triangles. We will use it as for I in range. Now we will add a start and a stop. Okay. For and now we will write for j in range of 3, not 3, I. While j is in the range of I, our code must execute. And now if I'll just run it, see, that's our starting. So what is it store? For I in 6, okay, for I in 1 to 6, at when I is equals to 1, one aspect will be printed. When I is equals to 2, two aspects will be printed. When I is equals to 3, three aspects will be printed. When I is equals to 4, four aspects will be printed. I is equals to 5, five aspects. I is equals to I cannot be equals to 6. That's why it's this. Now, see, at here, this asterisk sign is initialized to value of I. And this end equals to space. This sign is actually initialized to the value of j. So what's happening here is when the when I is equals to 1, it's actually printing 1. When I is equals to 2, it's actually printing 1 and then for j it will be printing 1 and 2. So see, if I just enter print I, even here and print, see, this is what's happening here is when I is equals to 1, its upper limit is now 1. So j is 0. Okay. At I is equals to 2, j is again 0. At I is equals to 3, not j, at I is equals to 2, j is 0 and then 1. So that's how this is the numerology behind it. This is the numerics behind it. Okay. So if I'll just move it again back to the aspect pattern, this is what's happening. This is aspect pattern. If you guys are not able to understand this, you guys can comment down below. Or if you guys find this any harder, then you guys can actually just understand this block of code. Okay, Maya, any teacher, I'm not saying that understand this with me. If I'm not able to teach you this part, then please understand it from any other teacher. But please understand this code because it will be helping you throughout your journey. Okay. Now, if I'll just print for my for if I'll just print for what can I see? Okay, if I'll just print for my number triangle that I have to print 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, then I'll just put the ranges will be like that. The only thing we will do in the J, okay, for I in J part, that now here the range will be 1 to I plus 1, okay, and then we will just print. Okay, now when I run this, we have got our numeric tracker. So that's how we are actually using the nested loops here. And now after this, we will start to move towards our towards some problems or problem solving. Okay, now now when I'm moving towards the problem, so let me just show you these problems, and then we will start to do those problems. Okay, so now see, now wait, let me just show those problems to you. Okay, let me just, I have written this problem in my what PPTs, but those problems are not can those my screen recording is not showing those problems. So let me just paste those right there. Okay, so now here, okay, these are the problems. Okay, now let me just put them in this. Let me do this that you guys can actually see those problems. Okay, so now this is our first problem. Okay, this is the topic conditional statements. Okay, so the first problem is write a program that takes a number and prints whether it's positive, negative, or zero. So okay, I'll be doing one program, then one is homework, then one I'm doing, then one is homework. Okay, so for this program, let me just write the code. You guys will also write the code in your on your pens and papers or on the system. Let's just do it. Okay. So what does it say? Write a program that takes a number. Okay. The first thing, write a program that takes a number from user. So let me just say num1 equals to int input. Then I'm writing enter a num, or I'll write enter a number and then this. Okay. So now when I'm entering this number, enter a number. Okay. Now I have taken the input from the user. Now it says and print whether it's positive, negative, or zero. So here we will be using our conditional statement. So now if I'll say if num1 is greater than, or if num1 is greater than zero, then print positive. Okay. Um, Else num1 is less than zero, print negative, and then else print zero. So this is the code for our question number one. Okay, for this question, this is our code. I'll just put the code just beneath that question so that you people will be, you people will see. This is the question. This is the answer. Okay. Now if I'm running this code, it will ask me enter a number. So I'll put 145. Pause it. Now for another check, I'll put negative 456. Negative. Now if I'll put 0. Hmm. So that's our first problem. Okay, first problem. This is the solution for the first problem. I'll attach the I'll attach all the problems in the description, so you guys can actually go and see those problems. Okay. Now for after this, okay, I'll also print. I'll also give you the solutions so that you guys can actually check your answers, or you guys can. Okay, I'll not give you the solutions, do the codes by your own. Okay, after that, if you are getting any errors, try to solve those. If those errors are not getting solved, then go to Google or anywhere you can ask those answers from anywhere, anyone, but please first try to do them by your own. Okay, now after this one, okay, let me just remove this. Now it says take a person's age as input and print whether they are child, teenager, or adult. This question is for you people, so please do this one by your own. Okay. Now it says check whether a given year is a leap year. So we can we can do that very easily. Year we will initialize int info enter enter your enter the year. Okay. Now what it asks us that we should enter the number, we should enter the year. Okay. After that year, that the condition must be for a leap year. The condition is the year must be is when the year is divided, that number is divided by 4, it must be 0. And when the number is divided by 100, it must be, it must not be equal to 0, or that number must be divided by 0. So the remainder, if divided by 400, the remainder must be 0. So we will go with the 400 part. If year percentage by 400 is equals to 0, equals to 0, if year percentage by 400 is equals to 0, equals to 0, print leave year. Okay. Print leave year. Okay. Now if I just run it, enter the year. So I know that 2026. Oh, 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 okay. What is happening? Leave. Okay, there is some problem in our just close and just check it. Year percentage by 400 is equal to, okay, that must be a need. Okay. Then, okay. There is another thing. All three conditions must be satisfied. So we will just put it like, we just put it here in this. Now we will use the logical operator or, okay, or year percentage by 4 is equal to 0, and year and year is not, when year is divided percentage by 100 is not equal to 0, then it must print leap year. Okay. Now if I'll ask me, I'll just put 2026. Oh wait. Which year is a leap? Um, okay, we have to print the else part also. So we will just print the else else not now I'll just see enter the value 336 which means it's not a leap year. So if we will check this here, so let me just check from the calendar, okay, and we will get to know if it's a leap year or not. Wait, why do I have to check from the calendar? Let me just okay, uh, Okay, let me just check it from Google. It's a leap year. Yeah, so I'll just check this. Leap year, leap year. No, see, 2026 is not a leap year. See, this is the information. Okay, now if I just ask it, it's a leap year, not a leap year. Okay. 2028 is a leap year. Yes. Okay. So 2028 is a leap year. Now, if I just put, if I just enter this 2028, 2028, yeah, it has given me the output is a leap year. So this is the answer of our code for leap year or not. Okay. So now you have now for this question you have to print the largest number among three numbers. You guys will do this by your own. And then after this marks one will also you guys will do by your own. Okay. Now for this even and odd number, hmm, these are very basic questions. Okay. After these questions, these are very basic questions. Okay. This leap year one is actually a bit tricky because you got some you got these two logics here. So please understand this one and do this do this. If you these things will hardly take some minutes. Okay. Now when I'm moving towards now let's just move towards nested if statements. Okay. When I'm moving towards nested if statements, I'll just I'll just write the code there. Okay. Not the code. I'll just now I'm writing the nested if statement questions. Okay. So these are the nested if statements. Okay. So these are the questions for nested if statements. We will do that also. Okay. We will do them. Okay. But we will do them in the next lecture or we will do them right in this lecture. Okay, so let's just do one thing. For that nested if, please understand that these nested if questions are very much easier. So I have shown you these questions. Take a screenshot, do them by your own, and comment down below that if you guys have done them by your own. Now comes the looping questions. For our for loop questions, okay guys, you guys can actually do this now. Just for the for loop questions, let me just give you this. Okay, so these questions are these are my for loop questions which I have got. See, print numbers from 1 to 20 using a for loop. We can do that very easily. Print the multiplication table of a given number. We have done that in this video previously. Okay, then calculate sum of first n natural numbers. We have also done that. We have actually calculated the sum of all even numbers from a number taken from the user. Okay, calculate the factorial of a number. Now, how can we actually calculate a factorial? For a factorial, there is this condition that number must be multiplied till the from that number to the descending till one. Okay, so now let's just do this one. Okay, for this factorial one, we will just take a number from you. We will initialize our number. My number is five. Okay, it will be five. Now for I in range six. Okay, I initialize another variable factorial equals to zero. Okay, not zero. I'll initialize it as for I in base factorial equals to one. Okay, now if I'll just see now I'll just write fact asterisk equals to I. You can here I'll write print fact. So now if I okay, wait, wait, why is it return fact before INT? Okay, okay, okay. So the ending must be 1. Okay, so we have to initialize the start and the stop. And now if I just print it. See, for, okay, I have written 6 here, but the 6 must be a variable which will be given from the user. So now if I just run this code, 24. So if I calculate the factorial of 4, the factorial of 4 must be 4 multiplied by 3 is 12, 12 multiplied by 2 is 24, that's the output. Now, if I'll just take it as an input from the user, for a is equals to int, okay, then input, then enter a number, okay, and open the columns again. Then I'll put enter a number and I'll just run the code. Okay, enter a number. I'll put 10. The factorial of 10 is 362880. So that's how we can actually print the factorials of a number. Okay, now print all even numbers between 1 to 50. We have actually done this previously in video. This video count the number of digits in a given number. For this question, use your own mind, guys. I'm not helping you. Okay. Now, print pattern of the stars like a triangle using a loop. We have done this. Okay, we have done this in the previous in the in the past of this video also. Okay. Now we will go. Now we will move towards the. Now we, we will use some. We will see some more questions. Okay. So after this, after this, I'll just write it. Okay. Now it is saying find the sum of digits of a number. Do this by your own. Okay. Then print all prime numbers between 1 to 100. Okay. Print all prime numbers between 1 to 100. Do that by one. The logic behind the prime number, I think, okay, I'll just tell you the logic. The logic behind the prime number is that the prime number must be divisible by its own or 1. Otherwise, it cannot be divisible by any number. One example of a prime number is 2, another is 3, another is 5. So these are some prime numbers examples I've given to you. So do them. Okay. It will be it, these questions will be done by using for loops. Okay. So these questions are easier to do by using the help of for loops. Okay. Now there are some similar questions while using the for while loop. Okay. But I'll not show you. Okay. Now I'll just give you a question. So wait. Okay. For that question, which is saying that find the sum of digits of the number and count the number of digits in a given number. This question will be done by string concept, so please don't. If you want to try, you guys can try. But in the next lecture, I'll teach you string concept. Then you guys will use the string concept. Okay. Now, write an evolution. Okay. So now for the next questions, I'll show you some. I'll show you questions. Then you in the next lecture, you will till the next lecture, till the next lecture, which is tomorrow. This is the next question. Okay. Print a multiplication table from numbers 1 to 10 nested loops. Okay. One is this. Okay. Then then we will then it's another question. Simulate a simple ATM machine using a while loop for menu, check balance, deposit, withdraw, exit, using if, else, else inside. Otherwise, you can also use math case for menu-driven programs. Okay, so till this far, we have completed our loop, our nested statements, and everything. Okay, we have done the practice problems right in this video. So that's all for today, guys. Please stay connected and till then, keep practicing. I have given you the questions. Please practice with those questions and till the next video, do those questions. Okay, the next video will be uploaded in 24 hours. Okay, again. So till then, See you, Tata. Take care. Keep problem solving and do these problems, okay, by your own, please. Bye bye.